Oh, we're live.
That happened fast.
Yeah. Well, welcome everyone to another session of the Superhero Spotlight series presented by Currency Cloud. And now we're super happy to have Kim Phifer from Row Business Bank, who is the VP of Engineering at Row. And so, welcome, Kim. For our viewers that are on right now and for the future, could you go ahead and give a brief background about yourself and what you're doing over at Row?
Of course, and thank you for having me to you and Currency Cloud. At Row, I'm the VP of Engineering, so I run the engineering team. My job's kind of execution, scaling, and future vision for how we're going to execute on our long-term business goals in terms of the tech stuff we're building.
Yeah, it's exciting for what you guys have done so far in this brief amount of time and the noise that you guys have made, and I'm sure it keeps you busy on the day by day. I guess we can begin there. So, as VP of Engineering, obviously you've got a lot going on as far as implementing the new products that come in and structuring that out. Could you talk a little bit about your method or your I guess idea of approaching how to prioritize the products that come in and go ahead and talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. From a product perspective, I think there's a lot of data that you want to take in, but first and foremost, you want to be making informed decisions about where you're spending your time. You're a company, we're growing pretty quickly. It never feels like we have enough people or hours in the day, so we have to be really discerning about the types of things that we want to spend our time on, and particularly for me, the engineering team. So I think for us, we really want to focus on the pain points of our clients, being really empathetic about what can help teams work better together with money. Like, what are the pain points? How do we improve those? What do people need for us to make that better at their organization? And when we start there, then we have to collect data to inform that decision and inform. But that's kind of how we think about product at a really high level.
And where do you decide? We talk about this a lot as an organization from our side. Where do you decide to optimize what you currently have, build out new, or then recover maybe something that is not working the way it's supposed to? How do you look at it as a strategic vision that way as well?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We have a great product management organization at Row. We feel, you're familiar with Alex, our co-founder and chief product officer, and they drive a lot of that for us because there's so many different places in which the data can come in. We can do client interviews with our existing client base. They're really good about deep diving on their existing pain points, kind of elaborating on that for us and telling us what they'd really like to see on the platform. Our sales team can really be a really good point of what people expect in the market, what they're looking for, what their problems are, and maybe like where our product doesn't yet serve a use case for a particular company or a particular type of company. And then last but definitely not least, our client services team. We really, even though we're an online bank, we really firmly believe that our clients should be able to talk to a person. And we have invested heavily in having, really great, empathetic, and capable people at the front lines for us. And they're talking to our clients all day long, and they learn so many things about maybe even things people wouldn't describe as a pain point. But we know, for a simple example, if people are struggling to find a certain button that they need to click, it might mean that we need to think about kind of improving that user experience and iterating on that UX. So kind of just collecting all that data in terms of pain points for people can really help us inform those decisions better.
It's really a key piece that I see that differentiates Row comparable to others in the market is that you really do bring in the customer experience, understand what they are looking for, and listen to them, right? And probably are completely transparent on where you can go with them as you go on your journey. I do want to talk a little bit about just engineering in general. It's awesome to see now in the digital banking world, especially in the US, it's attracting top tier talent in the financial space where I think previous it wasn't. Is there a big transition to come into, I guess, this industry from other segments in regards to wearing that hat and I guess attracting talent from your side? What are you seeing in regards to engineers and looking to get involved in the digital banking space?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I myself came from consumer tech prior to coming to Row, and I saw it as a tremendous opportunity for the market that was solving a real problem, that was a pain point for real people trying to run and grow their businesses. And I see that in the candidate market as well. I think fintech is booming. It's no secret that over the last year, fintech has really excelled at kind of solving these problems fast and turning quickly when the world needed some out of the box thinking on how to solve problems. And I think a lot of candidates, on the talent see that. They see that the industry is really doing well and solving big problems. And I think, we really look for that in our engineers as people that love building great product. Solving harder problems is part of that, but if you can always kind of bring it back to user or client experience, then you're gonna come out with something really great. And I think there's a big opportunity there and people see it.
Yeah, and coming from the client engagement side, I would say in spinning, really, it kind of doesn't matter what the product is at that point. You're just spinning out, experiences that they can utilize, whatever the product is. Did you find that at all, much different working with financial services from your previous experience?
I think the big thing, there's a lot of domain knowledge that comes into financial experiences when you're working in consumer tech. At some level, you're, a product that you can use on your day-to-day. Like I'm not running finance or accounting for a mid-market company. So that's like, for user empathy, I have to take a step aside. But then again, I wasn't in the core demographic of the consumer product I worked on either. So you do have to take a step aside, and you have to be willing to be wrong about products. And I think for Row, we really do need a lot of education for our engineering team, particularly people who aren't coming from a financial background, about what the pain point really is that we're solving, and bringing people in early to, give us better ideas and help us move with more speed and precision as a company.
Yeah, definitely, and that opens up, I guess, at working through a consumer market, and then some people obviously have to wear different hats. So in the daytime, they're using a different platform than they are at night, and it's kind of merging those together because the expectation sort of just changes now on the day-to-day. I do want to talk a little bit about, I guess, working with financial institutions as partners, and maybe even working as banking as a service, maybe in the middle that you guys utilize. But I don't know, how accessible is it for you to be able to get that data that you need from the financial institutions, ingest that, and then spin it into some sort of experience to make it accessible for the user? Have you had any roadblocks, preferences? If you can talk a little bit about working with that vendor type of party in the back end.
Absolutely. I think, well, first of all, lucky for me, I don't have to do this in a silo. I'm not just running Google searches all day trying to figure out how the financial regulatory laws work in various markets. I'm lucky to have a great team at Row that are really experts in these things and can explain and understand that. And also, we've chosen great partners. We've had great client reps at the partner institutions that we have, and they're able to really, when we describe a pain point, kind of tell us about solution that has worked for maybe previous clients, or that they can think of. We describe the pain point, and they can kind of help us uncover the problems and solutions.
Yeah, it seems to be opening up a little bit more from the partners here in the US, at least having multiple different options and working along those lines. I do want to talk a little bit about just your experience as far as launching a new product, I guess, or a new product within an industry that really hasn't had that much innovation prior to the last couple of years. Do you see yourselves as I guess the catalyst of what others are trying to do, and at least that's what we see it as? And I guess, how much pressure is that for you guys to be able to hold that and walk it forward and kind of lead the pack of what you're bringing to market in new segments that really didn't exist in banking previously?
Absolutely. I think at Row, we feel like we're at the forefront of a tremendous opportunity. These don't always come along in terms of how the market is transforming, and even how it's transformed since we launched Row around a year and a half ago. It's been a tremendous change for the world and for the market and what people want and need to run their businesses. So we certainly really strongly feel that and are excited about building to that use case. I think there's still a ton to learn about what people want and what they don't even know that they want yet. What are, if we continue to kind of bring it back to those pain points, then we can build to those use cases. But we have to, even though we see this market opportunity, we have ideas for how to solve this for companies. We have to be willing to be wrong. I think that's the most important part when you want to build great product. You have to be willing to be wrong about what the solution is. And the only way that you can do that is to focus on building fast, getting feedback, and iterating. And that's what we're really trying to do.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, because you don't really have anyone to look at and say, all right, this is where we can learn from, or since you're creating that path, where do you go about like sharing that information or learning from that information and kind of reiterating? Is that just you guys bouncing ideas off of each other and seeing what works and what doesn't? Or what kind of product or pave math do you do for that?
The market research is still really important. And Mark, you can talk about, interviews with our existing clients and interviews with, potential clients. Understanding, we are, I would say, at the forefront of the space, but there are other people at the space. We like to keep tabs on, what people are building and how they're solving problems. That doesn't mean to kind of just take that and rewrap it and that's how we're going to solve it. But kind of just understanding what's working for the market and what's not. If you're not taking that data in, you're missing a lot of information. So I think that's, I'd say, really important.
Yeah, and I think previous to where we're at now in the stage of digital banking, I think previously it was kind of a consumer app that was bringing in as many users as you can and bring the pricing down, and now it's kind of creating just new ways of working, new offerings that you could bring to models and different workflows. And with that, obviously there's going to be a lot of failures and a lot of successes, and sharing that information. For you guys, when you look at, I guess, where you want to go next, what goes into play from, I guess, not in a row perspective as far as a business, but in regards to the product, like how do you determine how to prioritize in the back end of where you're looking to help out and provide services for your teams internally?
Yeah, absolutely. I think being part of leadership, it's really important to kind of balance, the things we want to roll out tomorrow, the things we want to roll out next month with like, what's our long-term strategic vision? How do we kind of like build that base for that pyramid and be kind of managing a team that's doing those things simultaneously, because everything is important. So you don't want to focus too much on always kind of the urgent or the low-hanging fruit in terms of improvements. You also want to build out that long-term like strategic plumbing that will allow you to continue to be more flexible and build things fast. I think someone actually asked in the chat about the most exciting product enhancement we're planning to roll out. One thing I think from our side is to say, we talk a lot about helping teams work better together with money. This is new for people, I think, kind of having one all-in-one platform that we expect, everyone at your company to have a login. And we'd like to continue to kind of enhance this experience. And I think it's one of the things that I'm most excited about, because it's truly against the grain from how the market worked. If I talked about an incumbent banking product and I said, oh yeah, you just give every person at your company a login, that sounds crazy, right? But how do we like really add value back into the organization and allow people to move more quickly and with more transparency into what everyone is doing and spending money on, to kind of cut down on that friction that I think a lot of organizations feel when it comes to spending money.
Yeah, and a lot of it's, like using multiple different parties or third parties to get approvals through tiers and all of the above. And now it's kind of moving to more of like a collaborative banking, as you could probably call it, which is a pretty interesting model. I guess just in personal and even professional, finances aren't usually talked about, and I think this is kind of making an open conversation, whether it's for business, looking to be able to manage their expenses or pay off their invoices, or even receive from suppliers as well, to be able to receive money on that side. Where do you see, you've talked about a few of them, where do you see the biggest pain points that exist today, or biggest challenges that exist today that really have opportunity for you guys, without giving away maybe too much of where you're heading, but Where's been the biggest barriers that you've seen from your clients that they've talked about?
I think, kind of high visibility and high control over what they want their policies to be on the team banking level. I think, a lot of people don't want that approval mechanism to go away. They don't just want like everyone at the organization sending up. They want to have like very finite control over who can see what, who can do what, who needs to approve like what type of transaction. I can give you a card. Maybe you only can spend this on advertising services because that's what I gave it to you for. Having those really precise and flexible controls, because I think what we find is that the way that companies think about this varies tremendously from company to company, even in the same like market space. And then also, I would be remiss without saying this, but I think accounting and reconciliation and companies kind of tracking everything, often that's historically coming in from a lot of different platforms, is a huge pain point for a lot of organizations. And it's a hard problem, and that's why we're taking it on, kind of running up the hill. But by bringing everything into Row and integrating, having an accounts payable solution, having banking, having your corporate card, and tracking all that in one place, we're able to kind of map that data in a really consistent way.
And so how do you do you go out and integrate into the different softwares like one by one, or is there solutions where you can have a catch-all, then you input it into your solution?
There are some solutions on the market that are considered a catch-all. I think they're not necessarily quite where we want them to be yet. We do push it into some platforms. We would like to kind of build out more in terms of pushing into the accounting platforms. That's tremendously important for every kind of institution to track that, on whatever cadence they close their books, and that's something we want to make easier.
Yeah, I mean, that's we definitely see, obviously talking previous and other opportunities, we see obviously there's accounting platforms, but having not the ability to do any execution off of that is really a pain point to move the customer somewhere else. And so obviously for you guys to be able to embed all of those services into one, really, and we see the value for sure on that side. And there's definitely a sticking point here with small, medium businesses. Well, Kim, it looks like we're getting up on time, and I think we answered a few of the questions that came through from the comments. Are you personally currently hiring for your team?
Yes, we absolutely are. Our headquarters are in New York, and we're really focused on growing out. The engineering team there. We have already undergone a lot of growth, and we continue, have plans to continue to grow and build quickly and learn from the market and kind of capitalize on the market opportunity that we're currently in.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll go ahead and send people your way that come to
Absolutely.
us. And what's the best way to get in contact with you and your team?
You can always reach out to us on LinkedIn. I think our co-founders and myself are all on there. So or feel free to email me at kim@row.co. Especially on the engineering side, that's kind of my wheelhouse.
Yeah, perfect. Well, appreciate you getting on. We love working with you guys. We like seeing you're constantly pushing the barriers, and that's where we like to sit right behind of. So keep doing what you're doing. Excited to see where you go next.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Take care.